Hello, my name is April Rose and I'm the Saturday host for Witchy Wisdom 1. This week's topic has been about teen witches and being a teen witch and the problems that you have to face as a teenager and a witch that an older witch who's an adult or not living with their parents might not have to face. Right now I have gone through my teen years and I've been an adult for a few years now, but I still live in my parents' house. Some of the same rules and problems still apply. I think the biggest issue for a lot of teen witches is trying to deal with parents. A lot of parents do not like the idea of their kids practicing witchcraft. Sometimes it's because the parents are very religious, and their religion, if it's, any of the traditional, or not traditional, but main religions like Christianity or Islam, or those kinds of monotheistic religions, generally ban witchcraft and consider it sinful. I can understand why this would give parents concern. However, parents really shouldn't have the right to dictate the religion that you follow. Unfortunately, laws often back up parents and the right to choose what their child is allowed to practice as far as religion or spirituality, which witchcraft is often tied in with for most people. It's a very spiritual path, whether or not for you it's particularly religious. So when dealing with parents, obviously your parents have your best interests at heart. And you don't want to usually outright lie to your parents or be sneaking around, but sometimes it's none of their business. Personally, for me, I was open in the beginning with my parents when I started researching witchcraft and paganism, but it became apparent pretty quickly as I started to actually start practicing some of it that my parents were not okay with it. And sometimes it's not because of religious reasons. My parents are atheists, but my mother thought that it was irrational and not psychologically healthy for me to be doing. And so she forbade me to practice witchcraft or research it. I'm not a particularly rebellious person, I never was, but needless to say, I did so anyway. I didn't do so in the open, but I would occasionally look up books, I would research stuff on the internet. If your parents put out rules like no candles or no incense, while that can be frustrating, those are probably for the best. Go along with that. Going against those sorts of things, which, candles can be safety hazards. I know it's pretty straightforward as far as, not setting the house on fire. Most people won't end up setting their house on fire by lighting a candle, but it can really make your parents worried if that's something that they have qualms about. Incense, I know my mother and my brother, it gives them headaches. That's just being polite. If you're living with people in the family who are very sensitive to smells, particularly incense or essential oils, it's probably best not to use them, because that can be, nobody wants to deal with headaches all the time. So there are some basic etiquette rules that you should follow if you're going to practice witchcraft without your parents' permission. But in general, I would not try and discourage you from continuing to research and practice witchcraft if you're a teenager and your parents don't like it. That's a very personal decision that I feel like only you can make for yourself. It can cause, some tension in the family if your parents do find out. And you have to decide whether that's something you can handle or if you'd rather just wait. Sometimes parents will be okay if you just wait till you're 18. Depending on your age, that can seem like a long time, and it might not. Again, it's a very personal decision, and it can be very frustrating. And lonely, too, if you don't have anyone to talk to about it. Money is another big issue. Lots of teenagers don't have much money to spend on materials. And to be honest, you don't need a lot of materials. I know having, like an athame, which you usually can't buy if you're under 18 anyways. I don't know what laws in countries like Europe are, but at least in America, chances are you're not going to be able to buy a knife if you're under 18, and that's, a sensible law. So you can use a kitchen knife. If you can grab a kitchen knife and use that for the purpose, that works just as well. But don't just steal your parents' kitchen knives. That's not nice. You can collect things from nature. Even if you live in the city, go to a park. You'll be able to find something. Keep looking. I have a lot of stuff in my sacred space. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see some of my altar. And up here, lots of books that I've collected over the years. Just knickknack stuff that I've either made or found or been given. I have spent almost no money on any of the stuff I have. Go to secondhand shops, Goodwill, thrift stores, consignment shops that aren't the creepy kind, and you can usually find stuff really cheap. Look up tutorials online. There's a lot of do-it-yourself tutorials, both video and like with diagrams and written out stuff. Use YouTube. You'll find lots of ways to make some of the really basic items and fancier stuff too, that you'll end up spending almost no money on that you would have spent, $40 or $50 on at like your local pagan store, or neo-pagan shop or occult shop, which are great resources. And if you have the money to spend on that sort of stuff and you feel like that's a worthwhile investment, that's great. But that's not always possible for everyone, and not even everyone has access to those kinds of shops. They're not everywhere, and sometimes they go out of business pretty quickly, which is sad. And so as far as dealing with other people, I'll talk about like people outside of the family. I'll talk about that in a part 2 video, which I'm going to do soon, and maybe expand a bit more on how you can deal with parents as well.